Hello and welcome to the Queber channel. I am Jason, your host. And it's a bit of a strange day today. Last night was the first night that I actually slept in this room. My sofa bed isn't here yet. It's going to take another week or so for it to arrive. But the person that's coming to live here is arriving sometime next week. And this means that I want to fully move into this room before then. So I bought a really cheap air mattress. Let me grab it. It's just one of these. You pump it up manually and it just makes it so you're not lying on a floor. Now, some people might think, oh, but why are you giving up your comfort of your bed for someone else? It's a good thing. Why is that? First of all, like I've said, the idea of sleeping in this room makes me very happy. I like being in an enclosed space. I don't like having the entire house to me. It bothers me. It's too much space. It's too much. The only reason I set up the bedroom in the bedroom was because that's what you do. You have a bedroom. You have a living room. You have a kitchen. For me, living here alone, it was always a hard thing to do. And of course, the person who's coming to stay said to me, no, this person said they can stay. They're happy to sleep on the floor or sleep downstairs until my sofa bed arrives, which should arrive at the end of the month. I said, no, this will be fine. Why did I say it'd be fine? I wasn't being nice. I just knew it would be fine. You see, when I came home from my operation in 2018, my bowel cancer and having 40% of my bowels removed and that kind of thing, they were going to do keyhole surgery, which is where they just incisions go in and do stuff. That can take 1 to 2 hours. My surgery lasted 6 hours because there was complications and they had to cut me all the way up here, all the way to my navel. A 29 centimeters scar, and to get the stuff and fix it. After all, it was cancer. They didn't want to leave it. So I was out for 6 hours. And when I came to, they had given me medication, of course, for the pain of having a creep. And well, I started to suffer from PTSD straight away. When I woke up, for some reason, the medication they gave me, I got really rare side effects on it that cause hallucinations and really bad juju. When I first woke up from surgery, I was first lying next to Paola as they were trying to save her life. Because remember, Paola died about 4.5 weeks before I went into the hospital myself, the same hospital. And I watched them try to bring her back and try to, when she had cardiac arrest. And so, first of all, I hallucinated that I was lying next to her and Paola was in the bed next to me and all the people were trying to save her. We think that was caused because of the noise of the machines in the room were the same triggers as when I watched Paola die. And so that was the first stage of it. So I couldn't move and that's what I saw. And then I was Paola and they were trying to restart my heart. It was very freaky, not very fun. And then from that point on, I tried to escape the hospital 3 times during my recovery. While I was still had bloody sutures and everything, and my body hadn't restarted working in that, because every time I lay down, every time I put my head down on a pillow, every time I closed my eyes on a bed, I would relive Paola's death. Or some weird version of Paola's death. The worst of them was when my depression and bipolar, which of course we didn't know at that time, were kicking in, and I was having hallucinations where Paola was a zombie and she'd be telling me that I failed her and her body would be falling apart, and no, was not fun. Was not fun. Was not a fun time. People wonder why I had end of line thoughts back then. This is when I talk about seriously bad stuff happening now and then. So, when I got home, I got rid of my bed because I couldn't lie on it. I literally could not lie on a bed. And I worked out that in the end, the only way for me to sleep for those first 3 years after Paola's death and the surgery and the PTSD started kicking in was on a actual airbed. I tried, and because I could convince my brain that this wasn't a bed, this was a camping thing. So I lived on airbeds for 3 years, and they wouldn't last very long, probably. The best ones would last like 4, 5, 6 months, and I'd have to buy a new one. What fixed that and allowed me to sleep on a bed was sleeping in VR. Now, this will seem weird to people who haven't tried it, but those who have actually tried it and succeeded in sleeping in virtual reality, something about it resets the brain. It recalibrates the brain. I know people who are dealing with insomnia and they sleep one night in VR. And remember, when I say sleep one night, I mean spend a week getting used to having the headset on your head and getting comfortable and then falling asleep. So it's not a single night thing like that. But when you do it, for some reason, waking up in VR and sleeping in VR actually resets that part of your brain and allows you to sleep better. People who work shifts when they need to recalibrate to actually sleep a different sleep pattern, or people with jet lag and that can use it, and things like that. It can really help. For some reason, there needs to be more research into how it helps, but it does actually seem to really help. And that allowed me to start using a bed. But I never really... Every 6 months or so, I have to log into VR and go through a week of sleep until I get a good night's sleep in VR. And once I've had a good night's sleep in VR, I can go back to sleeping in a bed. But this all comes around to why I was so happy. First of all, I don't do well with spaces. I have to try and fill them. This house, this is why I've been so happy about someone coming to live here. Because I like little spaces. Remember when I lived with Paola in the other house, all my clothes and all my equipment was in this little tiny desk-sized place, and all my clothes that I wore were in a little box underneath that desk. And so, having a house this big has always bothered me. It may not seem big. I mean, it's only got 1 bedroom, it's got 1 bathroom, it's got a kitchen and a living room. It's not massive, but still, this is where it exists. This room is where it exists. There's only 2 reasons I have a bedroom, or had a bedroom next door, or turned into a proper bedroom, and that is, number 1, to give me space to do my VR in here, And number two, because that's what you do. You have a bedroom. When you've got a house, you have a bedroom. And so that's why I had a bedroom there. And just like you have a living room and you have a kitchen, and these are the things you're supposed to have in a house. This is why I'm happy that I'm going to have someone living here, because there's more justification for having all the communal areas and everything. They make sense. Never made sense to me. Like I said, put me in a shipping container, put me in a blooming single room apartment with enough room for all my VR and stuff, and I'll be happy. I don't need all the extra rooms. Anyway, so but part of why I was so happy to be back in here, see, my sofa bed isn't going to arrive for a while. Probably the start of November. It isn't that long away, but yeah. And so I've got this. It's a cheapy little air mattress. Not even. It just when you just pump it up with a little foot. You just use your foot to pump it up, and it just stops you sleeping on a hard floor. It only cost £11.99. Didn't have enough money for one of the bigger ones. And so, sleeping on it last night, I got more what's called restful sleep than I have had in 2 years. You see, I have my Whoop sensors that measure everything, and I have my Garmin smartwatch that measures everything as well. And this morning, the message on my phone, because the data goes straight to my phone about my sleep patterns and everything, it said, you got more restful sleep last night than you ever had before. I got 3 hours and 3 minutes of restful sleep. I got 4 hours 32 minutes in total hours of sleep, but I got 3 hours and 3 minutes of restorative, what's called restorative restful sleep. That is more restorative sleep than I have had in years. Even though I was sleeping in a new place, my first time to sleep in this room, lying on the floor, and even though this isn't the most comfortable air mattress and it's all a different thing, even though that was challenging, and yes, 4 hours 32 sleep is actually pretty good for me, but having 3 hours and 3 minutes of that being actual restorative sleep where your body regenerates, it's fucking amazing. And it's because it's not a bed. Even though the Quest, using the Quest 3 and using stuff to do the VR sleep to reset things helps. Sleeping in a bed, I never get as good a night's sleep if I lay on an air mattress. A simple, crappy little air mattress like that. So that's why it is not a negative thing in any way, shape or form, me moving into this room. First of all, it acts on I can see all my stuff. This is my safe room. This is my room of my happiness, and everything's in here. It makes me happy. I don't have to leave here to go to bed. It's my little cave. But also, sleeping in this room makes my actual sleep patterns and the sleep that I do get more useful and better. This is why I was about the person I said to the person when they're coming down, I said, no, I don't have to wait. I've set up all the room. It's all for you. No, because sleeping on a bed in a way takes effort. Better than not sleeping at all. I think the hardest thing about having a bed like this so low to the floor is I have to watch the dogs. The dogs, I put their 2 beds up in the corner there for them, because even though I would love to have them on the bed, this thing will, they will pierce this so quickly. Dogs are what always usually killed my air mattresses anyway. So for the few days, for the week or so that I've got to use this to sleep on, I need to make sure that the dogs don't step on it while I'm putting it together or anything. I love my dogs, but they would kill this in a second. So yeah, I'm good. In fact, I'm very, very good this morning. I mean, 4 hours 30 is still not a wonderful amount of time to sleep. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, happy I managed to actually get some restful sleep. Restorative sleep. For the record, according to the data on my system, sleeping on a bed, I get about between 30 and 90 minutes restorative sleep per night. And between 3 and 4:30 sleep. So, this is why I sometimes go for a nap during the day as well. Well, I hope you're all having a wonderful day. We had a bit of a ramble, didn't we? Bye-bye.